Now, after popular requests from you guys in the comment section, one topic that pops up quite a bit is how you adjust your headlights for driving on the opposite side of the road. So I'm based in the UK and we drive on the left-hand side, but if you travel to another country, they may drive on the opposite side of the road, in which case you might need to make a small adjustment. So before we jump into what you might need to do to your lights, if you have a suggestion for a future video, pop it in the comment section down below and I might just make a video on your suggestion. So let's have a look at why you might need to adjust your lights in the first place. Headlights are extremely complicated. They need to illuminate to other road users where of course you are, but you also need to see yourself even when no light is present. This would be quite easy to do with some extremely powerful lights. However, considering other road users, you also need to make sure not to dazzle oncoming vehicles. In other countries where you drive on the opposite side of the road, some headlights can cause issues for others, as traditionally, to maximise available light so you can actually see, some headlights have a kick-up feature, which is this part here. This basically offers more light on the pavement and to the left, illuminating road signs so you can read them clearer. The problem with this is then when you're driving on the right-hand side of the road, that kick-up feature on certain headlights is going to shine right into other road users coming toward you. Now, not all headlights have this particular feature, so which ones do you have and which ones do you need to adjust and which ones don't you need to adjust? So first and foremost, you'll just need to identify your light system, and if you look really closely, on most modern Mercedes-Benz, they've actually got it engraved in the actual light cluster itself. So the most common ones are halogen lights, Bi-Xenon lights, LED high performance lights, and then we get onto some of the more fancier systems called intelligent light system, multi-beam LED, and then digital light. If you have halogen lights or Bi-Xenon lights, personally I will double check with your local Mercedes dealership to be 100% sure, or have a look in the owner's manual. The reason for this, as this style of headlight spans back many years and covers a variety of different models of Mercedes. Modern halogens typically do not need adjustment, but slightly older models will, and virtually all Bi-Xenon do need adjustment under the bonnet in the headlight housing. However, if you have LED high performance lights, because LEDs are naturally brighter, they don't need that extra kick-up feature on the left-hand side of the beam, and the beam is actually relatively flat, which means it already conforms to requirements in countries where you drive on the other side of the road. Lastly, if you have Mercedes-Benz's upgraded intelligent light system, multi-beam LED or even digital light, then you will need to make an adjustment on the settings menu in your car. Now, depending on your model of Mercedes and its year of production and that sort of thing, and its multimedia system, it does depend on a couple of things as to where you actually adjust it. So for anything with the command version that looks a bit like this one, so this is where you use the sat-nav on the bottom right hand side, you go to destination and use the sat-nav that way. It's actually done on the steering wheel itself. So using the arrows here, if we just use this arrow system, go all the way across to settings on the right hand side, click OK, then go to light, then scroll down through this list and you'll find a thing on here called dipped beams, and then it says dipped beams setting for left side traffic or right side traffic, and you basically press OK, so it says change with the OK button, which is also on the steering wheel, so you basically toggle between those two. So then guys, for the newer version of the command, and the very easy way to identify this particular multimedia system is whenever you start the sat-nav and go to put a destination in, like a postcode or something, you'll always use the menu on the left hand side. So notice here there's a little menu on the left here, you've got enter destination. Bit different to the previous one we just saw, this one's the new version of command. And so, because it's the new version, you adjust the dipped beam lights on this screen. So if I press the home button, and then either use the wheel or the touchpad to navigate through the menus, just swipe all the way across to a thing called vehicle, go in here and then find a thing that says light settings, and then here you'll see a very similar thing to what we just saw on the previous system called dipped beams. In here is how you can toggle between left side traffic and right side traffic. So for the final multimedia system, let's show you how to do it on MBUX. Now MBUX is slightly different compared to command. A couple of menus are just in a couple of different places, so very similar though. If we swipe all the way across to a thing called settings, go in here and look for the submenu called Lights, so that's just on the top here. Then go to Dipped Beams, and then in here you can choose left side traffic or right side traffic. And then on some selected cars, a very fancy feature is called automatic, so it can automatically change based on the country that you're visiting with the car's GPS, so that's pretty cool. And just before we end, I thought I'd clarify what the difference between left side traffic and right side traffic is, because it could kind of mean either thing. Basically, it's for the side of the road that you're going to drive on. So for me, I'm based in the UK, we drive left-hand side, so you choose left side traffic. Of course, if I drive to France, where they drive on the other side of the road, you would choose right side traffic. So hopefully that clarifies any confusion on that front. So then guys, obviously that's how you change your dipped beams. If you wanted to see your full beam in action, I have actually made a video on multi-beam LEDs. So if you wanted to see that, check that video out right there, as that one shows you how it works. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Huge shout out to these guys, Sandown Mercedes-Benz, as they help provide access to all these awesome cars you see in the videos. Until next week, see you then.